Sanofi, a global and diversified healthcare leader, reports results for the first quarter of 2016. Jérôme Contamine, welcome.
Hello.
You are the CFO of Sanofi. What are the highlights of these results, and what changes have you made to report the performance of the global business units for the first time?
So, we are pleased with our solid performance in the first quarter and the progress we've made on our 2020 roadmap. Aggregate group sales increased by 0.7% and reached close to 8.5 billion euros. Excluding Venezuela, aggregate group sales grew 3%. Sales were driven in the first quarter by Sanofi Genzyme, Sanofi Pasteur and Merial, as well as our growth in emerging markets. Our business EPS was up 5.3% at constant exchange rates and reached 1.34 euros. As you know, we have restructured the group into 5 global business units with the aim of simplifying the internal reporting structure of Sanofi, deepening specialization, and allowing us a clear focus on our growth drivers. In the context of this new GBU structure, which is in effect from January 1st, I would like to draw your attention to the strong growth of the Sanofi Genzyme Global Business Unit, where sales increased 20.5%, reaching 1.2 billion euro in the quarter, mainly driven by the MS franchise. And the Sanofi Pasteur GBU continues to deliver as well, with sales of 625 million euros in the period, up 8.2%, despite expected lower sales of Pentacel due to supply constraints in the US. A particular highlight in the quarter is the significant progress we've made with 2 major late-stage pipeline assets, dupilumab and sarilumab, highlighting the strong potential of our emerging immunology franchise.
Sanofi Genzyme reported yet another strong quarter. What were the key drivers of your specialty care business in the first 3 months, and how sustainable is this performance?
As I mentioned, Sanofi Genzyme was again a strong driver in the quarter. Both the MS franchise and the rare disease franchise contributed to the 18.4% increase in sales of our specialty care business. In multiple sclerosis, our 2 brands performed very well, with first quarter sales of Aubagio up 64% to 279 million euros, and it remains the fastest growing oral MS drug. On Lemtrada, we are progressively overcoming barriers to Lemtrada use, with sales more than doubling in Q1 2016 to 88 million euros. As you know, both brands are still in the launch phase and continue to drive the expansion of our competitive position in the fast-growing global MS market.
You just launched Dengvaxia, the world's first dengue vaccine, in the Philippines, and you received a big boost when the Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization, SAGE, recommended Dengvaxia to the World Health Organization on April 15. How can you use this support for the planned vaccination campaigns in Asia and Latin America?
We are very pleased to announce that the first public dengue immunization program has started in the Philippines, as you say, in April. First quarter sales of the world's first dengue vaccine, Dengvaxia, which is now approved in 4 countries, including Mexico and Brazil, contributed sales of 19 million euros. We are encouraged by the recent recommendation issued by the SAGE to the World Health Organization to use Dengvaxia. The SAGE advises that countries with high dengue transmission consider introduction of the dengue vaccine as part of an integrated disease prevention strategy, including vector control to effectively lower the dengue disease burden. This important recommendation recognizes the strong public health benefit of our dengue vaccine and should help us secure further endemic country approvals during 2016.
In diabetes, how is your insulin glargine franchise with Toujeo and Lantus holding up in an increasingly competitive market?
The key message here is that our global diabetes franchise continues to perform in line with our revised guidance from last October of global sales to be down between -4% and -8% annually over the period 2015 to 2018. In the first quarter, worldwide sales of diabetes were 1.7 billion euros, down 4.5%, which is actually better than the 12.6% decline we saw in the previous quarter. As expected, sales in the US continue to be negatively impacted by a lower average net price. Indeed, This resulted in a sales decrease of 11.1%, which compares to the 25.1% decline we reported in the last quarter of 2015. However, from a volume perspective, I would also like to point out that our combined large franchise of Lantus and Toujeo maintain a relatively stable share of the basal insulin market in the US. In Europe, diabetes grew 4% to 255 million euros despite biosimilar competition. In emerging markets, sales increased by 12% excluding Venezuela, with strong contribution coming from our leading position in the fast-growing diabetes market in China.
Where do things stand on the business swap with Boehringer Ingelheim that is due to close in the fourth quarter of 2016, and how will this transaction further your goal of becoming the leader in consumer healthcare?
I can confirm that our exclusive discussions with Boehringer Ingelheim on the potential CHE animal health asset swap are on track, and that the deal is expected to be signed around mid-year and to be closed by year-end. Boehringer Ingelheim's assets in consumer healthcare are highly complementary with Sanofi CHE business, both in terms of products and geographies. Boehringer Ingelheim CHE would improve our position in Germany and Japan, where our CHE presence is limited, and expand Sanofi presence in these priority categories. We would also gain access to several iconic brands. Our CHE business in the US, Europe, Latin America, and Eurasia would also expand significantly, giving it multiple leadership positions in key countries or on key product categories.
Could you please explain to us the situation of Sanofi's business in Venezuela and how this has impacted the first quarter? What was your performance in emerging markets in Q1 2016?
As we all know, the macroeconomic environment in Venezuela is challenging and impacted our business EPS by 9 cents in the quarter. First, from an FX standpoint, given there has been no indication of improvement in the economic situation in Venezuela, we have decided, therefore, to change the FX rate used for the Venezuelan bolivar in our accounts. Sanofi now uses a floating exchange rate of 273 Venezuelan bolivar per US dollar. This new exchange rate replaces the official rate of 6.3 per US dollar, which was used in the first quarter of last year. Secondly, we also decided to impair our remaining exposure, which resulted in a 102 million euro FX loss that was recorded in the other operating income line. So we have now no remaining balance sheet exposure to Venezuela. Excluding this country, our emerging market growth reached 13.1%, which we believe to be well ahead of our peers. Despite economic slowdown and volatility in some countries, sales in our strongest region, Asia, grew 15.6%. Sales in Asia were particularly boosted by a 17.6% growth in China, where Sanofi outpaces market growth. In China, we continue to benefit from a well-suited portfolio of quality brands in chronic diseases and vaccines. We are also capturing market share for our key brands in the fast-growing county market outside the key cities.
And lastly, what can you tell us about your operating costs and your outlook for earnings per share?
Aggregate OPEX was 3.7 billion euros in the first quarter, up 3% at constant exchange rates. When you take a closer look at OPEX, first quarter aggregate R&D expenses of 1.3 billion euros were up 6.5% at CER, reflecting our new collaborations in immuno-oncology and diabetes, the dupilumab phase 3 program, and the Praluent Odyssey cardiovascular outcome study, and also post-marketing studies with new launched products. This resulted in a higher R&D to group sales ratio of 15% in the first 3 months of 2016 as compared to the same period last year. On the other hand, aggregate SG&A expenses were 2.4 billion euros in the quarter, reflecting an increase of 1.3% at constant exchange rates. This modest increase was due to tight G&A cost control in the period and the reallocation of resources behind our key product launches. In the first quarter of 2016, the ratio of SG&A to sales increased 0.3 percentage point to 28.3% compared with the previous year. For the remainder of 2016, we should continue to see savings on SG&A resulting from prioritization on the gradual impact from the implementation of our new organization, which are partially offset by expenses for our product launch. Overall, we continue to expect OPEX in 2016 to grow at a similar rate versus 2015 at constant exchange rates. As for your question on the outlook for 2016, we reaffirm our financial guidance of business EPS to be broadly stable versus 2015 at constant average exchange rates, barring major unforeseen events.
Jérôme Contamine, CFO of Sanofi, thank you very much.
Thank you.